All right. So, just so everyone who's in here knows, it's being recorded. That way it can be seen later by you or anyone who wasn't able to attend. It's 12:01 now, so to respect the time of the people who did come right at 12, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we'll keep admitting people as we go, though. Thank you for joining us with the Erika's Lighthouse Lunch and Learn series part 2. Today we're talking about the evaluations and culture survey. So the goals today are really just to overview those updated program evaluations, as well as overview the new Erica's Lighthouse School Culture Survey. So new program evaluations. So really, we've had program evaluations for our classroom education already, but we are updating our program evaluations so that those have new pre-tests and post-test surveys for all of our pillars and all of our 4 pillars. That's classroom education, school policy, empowerment clubs, and family engagement. All of them will have its own survey for before and after implementation of that program. Classroom education will have different surveys for levels 1, 2, and 3 because they naturally go over slightly different content. So, for example, with staff training, right, school policy and staff development, you would do the pre-survey right before doing the staff training. So if you did it on a PD day, you would have everyone fill out the survey before actually doing the training. And then once everyone has completed the survey, then you would have them do the post survey, right? The same would go for classroom education. You do the pre-survey before the lessons, post survey after the lessons. Clubs usually go year round. So you might be doing the pre-survey at the beginning of the year and the post survey closer to the end of the year. So what are we checking in these program evaluations? So the program evaluations are going to use Likert scale questions. So that's from strongly agree to strongly disagree type questions, and select all that apply questions to measure the impact of the program on the participants in a variety of ways. So the things that we'll really be looking for is how the program affected their thoughts and feelings about encouraging help seeking, reducing stigma, normalizing conversations, promoting good mental health, improving connectedness, especially school connectedness, how their thoughts and feelings about the inclusive culture, helping a friend, and their increase in content knowledge. So those are the things we'll be checking in the program evaluations. Who is being surveyed? Even though we have 4 pillars, right, not all 4 of them will be surveying the same people. So the classroom education pillar, right, it is the students who are taking the classroom education that will be surveyed. For the family engagement, the surveys will be sent to parents and the families that use the family engagement resources. So before a family workshop, right, the families would be sent in after as well. For policy and staff training, it's the school staff that take the training that are surveyed. And then for clubs, we have students again, right? The students who participate in the clubs this time. And when are the surveys? Once again, they're going to be pre and post. So the pre-survey happens before the implementation of the program, and the post-survey happens after the implementation of the program, right? This is just so that you can see the way that the program had the impact, right? By a before and after, it'll give you 2 good data points there. So an example of the new survey, I'm looking at the level 2 student evaluation form, right? You can see the Likert scale questions like I can identify the signs and symptoms of depression. Students can strongly agree, disagree, agree, strongly agree. You can see the select all that apply questions when it asks which of the following are examples of who could be a trusted adult, and then they select who could be a trusted adult. Content knowledge here. The content knowledge is like who are trusted adults, for example. Encouraging help seeking, you see it asks if people should talk about mental health or not. And reducing stigma, right? Same idea, it's asking that same question. So you can see that these questions are doing some of those things I've already talked about. There are more questions on the survey. If you scroll down, you can see that is not the whole form. It's not too long, though. It's about 2 to 3 times as long as what you see in the screen there. So it's pretty quick with no short answers, just either Likert scale questions or select all that apply. The same questions appear on the post survey. to track the impact of the program that the program had. However, there's just one more question added in the post survey that asks for someone's opinion on the specific program that they took part in, so that we can get an idea of that. This creates, again, the 2 data points before and after. So why are we doing these surveys? Both the program evaluations and the school culture survey, which Alana will be talking about in a moment, should really give us good data points for schools as well as for Erika's Lighthouse. So the data can help schools make informed decisions about the programming they use, and it can also help us at Erika's Lighthouse make informed decisions as we update and continue to grow and develop our programming. How you will be able to use those data points. You'll need to come to next week to learn about the data center that's being launched. And that is really where you'll be able to access the data and get it. I'll post a link near the end to join next week's lunch and learn about the data center. But I'm going to go ahead and hand things off to Alana to start talking about the school culture survey.
Thank you. All right. 1 second, sorry about that. All right, thank you, Derek. Hi, everyone, my name is Alana. I'm gonna talk about the school culture survey that is new, coming up for next school year. So we know that positive school cultures really provide the right environment, resources, and relationships for school communities to thrive. And school culture data will show exactly how safe and supported and accepted students, staff, and families feel. The Erika's Lighthouse School Culture Survey is designed to evaluate a school's culture. Think about a 360-degree review that an executive or a staff member may take. This survey is that for a school. The survey can be used to guide school communities in all MTSS-based activities, but particularly around mental health and school connectedness. It's there really to establish a baseline and gauge progress of those activities. Specific implementation is really determined by each school. The school culture survey surveys all school stakeholders, including students, school staff, and families. And the great thing is that any school, regardless of whether they are using Erika's Lighthouse programming, can use the school culture survey to gather important information. So it's really open to any school, whether they're using our resources or not. Ideally, in terms of looking at the big picture and timing, ideally the survey should be done at the beginning of the year and the end of the year. So it's a little different than what Derek was talking about with those program evaluations. Our program evaluations are specific to when the program is being taught. Ideally for the school culture survey, it would be done at the beginning of the school year, and that early year survey sets the baseline for the year's activities and really helps you determine appropriate programs and interventions. The late year survey at the end of the year will help you see what progress you made during the year. Have your interventions been effective? Is there more you can do? Data at a district level can provide even greater insight. While Erika's Lighthouse does not currently support district level data as a native option, you can certainly get the raw numbers from our data center, which we'll talk about next week. Once you're able to receive that data, you can then put it into a spreadsheet to determine school by school results and look at larger districts' growth. If you're using multi-level cross-school programming, the results should be more pronounced over the years. The culture survey will provide a fresh baseline year after year, along with end-of-year baseline that can also be leveraged. So in the culture survey, there are 7 questions that focus on the following topics: help seeking, stigma, normalized conversations, connectedness, inclusivity, school safety, and school support. Here's a look at what the survey, the early year survey, looks like for all the stakeholders. So it's going to look the same, but when someone clicks to take the survey, they will check a box asking who they are, whether they're a student, a staff member, or a family member. They'll then choose their state and their school name so that the data is connected to the school and that you'll be able to gather that information at the data center. So this is just a quick look. It's a short survey. And in terms of the actual questions of this survey, I've posted about 5 of them here out of the 7 questions. First one, and it's not even a question, really more of statements. I feel safe at school. So a high disagreement level with this statement really means that schools should be more proactive about taking safety seriously. This can encompass physical and mental safety and may include bullying or school violence. The next statement, I feel supported at school. A high disagreement level with this statement means that the stakeholders do not feel the school is invested in them personally. I feel comfortable sharing my ideas and thoughts at school. High disagreement with this statement means the school should be more open to feedback and listening to stakeholders. I feel cared about at school. Now, this is a version of a question that's across all Erika's Lighthouse surveys. So when we look back at what Derek was talking about with the pre and post program surveys and for all the pillars, this question has there's a version of this question in all of those surveys. A high disagreement with this statement means the school needs to be proactive with demonstrating personal concern. And lastly, I'm comfortable talking to a trusted adult at school. This is a question only for students. Schools should be centers of trusted adults. A high disagreement with this statement means the school needs to work hard to help students connect with adults and make themselves available for potentially uncomfortable conversations. Again, the results of the early year and late year surveys are there to help you make data-informed decisions to support your school community. If your school or district is using multiple survey tools, such as the school culture survey, along with a staff training pre-post or one of the classroom programs pre-post or all of the above, if you're using multiple survey tools, you'll see several of the goals and questions are similar, and you'll be able to track student, school, and program-based growth. This is especially true for year after year results. A few things to consider and sort of ask yourself or ask about the school or district. Do students that complete classroom education have better connectedness, culture, and results than the baseline average? Do students that participate in empowerment clubs see better connectedness, culture, and results than the baseline average? If your school is implementing family workshops, for instance, how different are the pre-year results with the post-year? What other interventions are you leveraging with families? If you're implementing staff training, are students now able to identify more trusted adults at the school that they would be willing to talk to? Does using more pillars of Erika's Lighthouse and other programs improve culture and increase success? So some things to be thinking about. As I mentioned earlier, specific implementation is determined by each school. Ideally, the survey again would be completed by students, staff, and families early in the year, first few weeks of school. The survey should really only take 10 to 15 minutes to complete at most. You can give deadlines, remind those taking the survey to please have it completed by then, and share that there are no right or wrong answers. This is not a test, of course. All responses are completely anonymous, and reminding folks that their responses really will be beneficial to the school to help make informed data-driven decisions. So we have a little time for questions. Next week's webinar is the last of our series, and we'll go over our data center. Our brand new data center is designed to help schools disseminate, collect, organize, and report on school mental health data they collect through Erika's Lighthouse tools and resources. And we'll cover how schools can use these tools to make informed, actionable decisions on their programs. We hope you can join us. There's a link in the chat to sign up and register for that. If you have any questions, feel free to take yourself off mute. You can also put some questions in the chat. And I will also put our emails up here. This is our program team. So if you have any questions that you think of after the fact, feel free to contact any of us. But if anyone has questions, feel free to unmute yourself or put anything in the chat. All right. Well, it sounds like no one has questions. I hope that's a good sign. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you can join us next week as well for the data center webinar. And thanks so much. We look forward to working with you.